Hi, everyone. Welcome. We'll officially get started in 1 or 2 minutes. I just wanted to open up the room so folks could join and settle in. So make yourself comfortable. If you have a cup of tea or a glass of water, that might be nice. And let's see how we're doing here. Okay, great. So folks are joining. If you've joined and you're all set, if you can find the Q&A box, go ahead and find your Q&A box and just let me know where you're joining from. So you can just tell us your name, tell us where you're joining from, and that helps us all to connect. Okay. Welcome, Donna. Welcome. Thanks for joining. And again, go ahead, folks. Let me know where you're joining from. Let us know who's on the call, and we will officially get started in just a moment. I see a few more folks accessing the room. Welcome, Joan. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. So this is Flourish, the Compassionate Schools Project curriculum, and today's session is on the grade level band 2 to 3. Yesterday we did K through 1, and tomorrow we're doing 4 through 5. So the replays will be available if you can't make all of the sessions live, and we're happy to have you here today. And I'm Erin. I am your host today. Okay, so the Flourish curriculum was written by Tish Jennings and Alexis Harris, and it is, in the way that it stands now, it's just the result of this collaboration from quite a few entities. It's the curriculum of the Compassionate Schools Project. The University of Virginia has also supported its creation and development, and our organization, Pure Edge, has helped to share the resources far and wide. So if you've joined our webinars before, you'll know that we are a private operating foundation, and we provide direct service to organizations through professional development and strategy thought partnership. Like I said, my name is Erin. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction at Pure Edge, and I've been working to get our Flourish curriculum out into the world, and I've been working, of course, collaborating with many folks to create these resources, and we're just all so excited to share them with you. Our learning objectives today is, again, we're going to look at the 2 to 3 grade level band of the Flourish curriculum, and we're going to explore some of the topics and the components of each lesson. And I'm going to make sure that you know how to access this curriculum on our website. All the resources and supports available for the curriculum are free, and we just want to make sure you all know how to use them. Okay, so I thought we would start our session today with a practice, and this practice comes from the Flourish curriculum. It's called the Gratitude and Appreciation Practice. So I invite you to come into a comfortable sitting position, and you can choose what feels good for you. If you want to bring both of your hands to rest on your heart, that can be nice for the gratitude practice. If you want to keep your eyes open. That works well. You can just tuck your chin and bring the gaze away from the screen, or you can close your eyes. So coming into whatever version, whatever posture feels right for you this afternoon. And let's start by just taking a couple of breaths in and out the nose. Just nice, gentle breath in. Nice, relaxed breath out. And again, a nice, gentle breath in. And a relaxed breath out. You can just keep letting the breath move on its own. We're not monitoring or focusing on the breath. And now I am going to invite you to bring to mind someone or something that you feel thankful or grateful for. And it can be someone who has shown you care and kindness. Could be a place where you feel safe and happy. Or it could be a wonderful experience that you've had. So just bringing to mind that person, that place, that experience, and just imagining that person, that place, or that experience in as much detail as you can. And just noticing what you feel in your body when you remember this person or this thing that you're grateful for. And maybe you can imagine that you're telling them thank you for whatever kindness or care they've brought to your life. And just taking one more moment to allow any of those feelings of gratitude, thankfulness, or joy settle into your body. And when you're ready, you can bring the hands back down to the lap. If you closed your eyes, you can open them. And just taking a moment to come back to our session, back to our time together. So that gratitude and appreciation practice is a really wonderful way to just connect in to some positive emotions. It also helps both us and the learners to remember the care and the compassion and the kindness that already exists in our lives. So when we're introducing a curriculum like this and we're building skills and we're developing compassion, um, we're not starting from scratch, right? So we want to remind the learners of that. If you have any responses or feedback to the strategies as we practice them, or any questions that come up throughout our session, feel free to go ahead and share that in the Q&A, and we'll keep going. So again, our topic today is the Compassionate Schools Project curriculum, Flourish. And today we're focusing on grade level 2 and 3. You can see that it's really a full comprehensive curriculum. We share, there's a curriculum manual. Every grade level band of the curriculum has 7 units, and the units are aligned with social and emotional learning competency areas. Along with the main curriculum, there's a student workbook that has, just little activities and exercises that go with the lessons that are in the manual. There's a teacher resource manual that has lots of visuals and things. Again, we created these resources so that the teachers implementing the curriculum would have less work to do, right? We wanted to provide as many of the visuals and just anything they might need. And there are options, right? So if the teacher has something they prefer to use, of course, they can go ahead and get creative and really make the curriculum their own. But we also wanted to give them something to work with. And one of my favorite parts of the resource manual is something that we call the Compassionate Courier. And the Compassionate Courier is a way to share the work that you're doing in your classroom with other adults in the building. So it talks about, maybe 1 or 2 poses from the unit that possibly a classroom teacher could also implement along with what you've been doing. It'll talk about the topic, the main theme of the unit, and that helps the kids kind of feel this learning is happening across settings and not just in one classroom area. And then we have the practice guide and the practice deck, and these are resources where we have just the mindful moments and the mindful movement strategies and the instructions on how to deliver those strategies. And so it's nice to have those handy in case you want to practice some of those strategies outside of a full curriculum lesson. And the components of the Flourish curriculum, as I said, we're covering social and emotional competencies. Every lesson includes some form of mindful movement and physical activity. There's mindful awareness practices that are usually breathing strategies and also some rest and relaxation strategies. And there are skills and mindsets for lifelong health. So each unit has a lesson that will touch on healthy nutrition and kind of how to make those connections. It's not just about learning the facts of nutrition, but also encouraging kids to think about and, understand how their body feels when they're eating well versus when they're making poorer food choices. And not only nutrition, we also share about mindsets. So in those mindsets, we include things like self-talk, appreciating others, perspective taking, and being able to understand where someone else is coming from, and understanding that, even though we're not going to be the same all the time and we're not going to agree on everything, we can still get along with our classmates and our peers. And in fact, that the differences in our communities can be a source of strength. Why focus on compassion? So when the Flourish curriculum was implemented, it was also researched, and really the gold standard of research, the randomized controlled trial, was used. So overall, there were 43 K-5 elementary schools in the study, and the study took place over 2 years' time. About half of the schools received the intervention, which was the Flourish curriculum implementation, and half of the schools did not. And what they found is that the students in the schools who had received the Flourish curriculum reported greater social self-efficacy, and that's really their confidence in their ability to solve social problems. Greater perceived peer support. So kids who had received this program, who had participated in the Flourish curriculum, they felt that their classroom communities were more caring and supportive. The kids also showed greater attention control. And then in schools, these last two are asterisked, right? And these results were seen, the greatest results for these two bullet points, excuse me, were seen in high poverty schools. And in those schools, the students demonstrated greater pro-social behavior and fewer conduct problems. So when the need is high, such as in those communities, the impact was great. And so the researchers were really interested in that result. Okay, so when we think about compassion, we know that compassion means our ability to show care or kindness when someone is in need. Now, one way that we help the learners cultivate that ability is through story. So through the use of story. So I just pulled these examples from Unit 1 because I thought it was a really nice illustration of how the curriculum works and how it kind of builds on itself. So this is a story, it's called A Dog's Day, right? And so in part 1, the kids are introduced to this little dog, and it's like a little puppy, and he's lost in the park, and he's hungry and he's tired and he's thirsty. And so we start with the basics, right? Really just kind of asking the kids, like, how do we know what the puppy needs? How can we help the puppy? What would be good ways to show care, and how would we demonstrate compassion for him? And through that process, we're also helping the learners identify and clarify what compassion is. Now, as the story goes on, which happens in the next lesson, we start to learn more and more about the puppy and about this experience. So our compassion circle widens. It starts with just the puppy. And then in part 2, we hear from the little girl who has lost her puppy and who doesn't know where he is and is feeling really worried about him, right? And you know, how might she be thinking? So again, we're starting that skill of perspective taking, and we're also, starting to care for this child who's feeling badly about her missing pet. And part 3 and part 4 introduce us to the family who's found the puppy and the actions they take in order to help the puppy find his or her home. And I won't do a spoiler. There's a plot twist in part 4 where we get, we learn a little more about the kids who found the puppy and some of the struggles that they have. So again, through simple, sweet, engaging storytelling, we're helping the kids understand how to connect and how to identify needs, how to meet those needs, and what some of the challenges along the way might be. And again, when we think about compassion, it's not just a feeling that we have, it's also a skill that can be taught and strengthened with practice. One of the ways that we support the development of compassion using the Flourish curriculum is by practicing mindfulness skills and strategies. And in this grade level band of 2 and 3, we introduce the kids to the idea of the mindfulness muscle. So the idea that, our mindfulness muscles get stronger with practice. So the more we practice these skills and strategies, the better we get, not only at doing the practices, but we're really growing our ability to stay connected and stay present and, be able to see what we need, which is a way to show compassion for ourselves. And then over time, being able to also extend that compassion to others. And you can see on the screen here, this is one of the really sweet posters that's in the teacher resource manual. And it's teaching the kids that when you get distracted, when you practice these mindfulness strategies, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong, right? That's actually how we build our ability to focus. And we did that with, real simple illustrations that hopefully get that message across. Okay, so now I want to take us to the Pure Edge website so that I can walk you through exactly how to find the resources. The website is pureedgeinc.org. If you are using a mobile phone, you can scan this QR code and it'll take you right to the curriculum account. Now, someone on yesterday's session had a really great question. If you already have a Pure Edge curriculum account, you'll access the Flourish curriculum just like you access all the other Pure Edge resources. But if you haven't created the account before, you'll just need to create an account before you can access the resources. But again, there's no cost to you. It's all free and available. So I'm going to pull up our website now. Let's make sure I'm getting the right one here. I think this is it. Okay. So this is the Pure Edge homepage, and I am already logged into my account, so I can take us to how to find it. So again, there's a couple different ways. You could click on curriculum, and that will take you to the curriculum page. I always find myself scrolling down to this youth curriculum bubble, and then I click on the Flourish. It'll give us a little overview of what that curriculum, what resources are available for that curriculum. And then we click on View Curriculum. Here you can see you can select a language. Flourish is available in English and in Spanish. I'm going to go ahead and stay on English for today. So I stayed on English, I clicked on Flourish, and now I'm going to click onto the grade level 2 and 3. Right, so here we are. We're on the website, and you can see there's different options for what you'd like to download. So the full curriculum is that full curriculum manual, units 1 through 7. You can also choose to download unit by unit if you wanted to focus on just one of the units. The workbooks and guides includes that teacher resource manual, the student workbook, and the practice guide and card deck. And then our video library is here. So let me take you to the video library. So again, we just click on the videos. You have another chance to select the language, and then you can scroll down. There's some overview videos that are really helpful. They offer great sources of information and really like a nice frame when you're choosing to implement. I think these are really supportive, and I encourage you to check them out. And then there's also videos that you can use directly with the kids. So this is the K to 1 section. I'm going to go down to 2 to 3. So for the 2 to 3 mindful movement, we created video sequences for many of the sequences that you see repeated quite a lot in the curriculum. And these are really lovely. They're set to music. So we do have a voiceover version available as well, but they're set to music so they can be used without any voice instruction. Kids of all, kids speaking all variety of languages will be able to follow along with no problem. And I've seen these implemented in the classroom, and the kids take to them really well. So again, these are just a really nice resource to support your implementation. From here, I am gonna let's see, I was going to go back. I wanted to just quickly show you one of the lessons. So let's get up the first lesson on compassion, and we'll take a moment or two to go through it. So every lesson will have a title, a goal statement. So students will learn that compassion means showing care and kindness to someone in need. They will explore how practicing mindfulness can help them show compassion to themselves and others. In lesson one, it's a big theme, and these themes are going to be reinforced across the whole implementation of the curriculum. So we're not expecting kids to, learn these concepts in one session only. Um, then are we on? Yes. So there's a section that'll give you the learning objectives, any new poses. Of course, in lesson one, almost all of the poses are new, but then in future lessons, there'll be less new ones. We're building on a foundation that we've started already. And then just any materials or setup that you might need to do. You can see every lesson is going to include calming and focusing, which is one of the foundational mindfulness strategies. And for this one, because it's lesson one, there's a lot of time spent introducing it. Over time, that just becomes something that you do automatically with the kids. And then after that, you introduce the Dog's Day story, which we already talked about. And then they do a mindful movement practice. And you can see, I'll just quickly show you one example. There's illustrations for the poses. We give a script that you can share with the learners. And then there's step-by-step instruction for each posture. So it's really supportive for you. The idea was to make it as comprehensive as possible. Okay, and then I'm going to stop here. Toward the end of each lesson, there's a time where you wrap it up, and then often some suggestions for home practice that will help the learners, bridge contexts. So bring this learning not only into the school setting, but encouraging them to also, you know, make the connection that they can do these strategies at home as well. And they often can share them with their family members, and that's a nice way. And we know that the evidence supports, anytime you're supporting well-being strategies, especially with young learners, if the family is connected and involved, the strategies are more effective. Okay, so I wanted to share this video, and then I think I'm going to have to quickly wrap it up for us. This is one of our mindful movement videos, and we also have some of these available with ASL interpretation. So I thought I would share one of those with us today. If you'd like to practice along with the movement, I encourage you to come to a standing position. I'm going to go off camera so that you can see the video better. Okay, so coming into a comfortable standing position. Let your hands relax at your sides, and we'll get started.
Start in mountain, standing tall, breathing in and out. Inhale, arms up for sunrise. Exhale, fold forward, sunset. Inhale, hands on your shins, look forward for monkey. Exhale, sunset. Inhale all the way up, sunrise. And exhale, mountain.
Okay. So I love those ASL videos. I think they're just a really lovely resource to share with our communities. So again, the curriculum includes a compassion project. At the end, lessons, or unit 7 rather, it gives the kids an option to kind of identify needs in their community and work together to do something about those needs. And there's a whole range of projects that the kids have come up with in the grade level band 2 to 3. That process is maybe a little bit more collaborative with the learners and the educators. So yeah, you can really have fun with this and really just help them, it feels good to give, and the kids feel that joy of doing something positive. The key takeaway for implementation is that you can implement this curriculum in a way that feels supportive for your school community, and there's lots of ways to do that. One great resource we have available are integration guides, and they kind of help educators break down the curriculum into, essential components or components that could be easily delivered by a classroom teacher, and then also components that might sit well in a PE or dance teacher's wheelhouse. So there's really ways to get creative and to implement this in the way that best suits your setting and your school, and the time and the resources that you have available. We always recommend consistency when we implement work like this, because that is how these skills and practices best take root, is when they're practiced with consistency. And finally, we'd never want to forget that when we're thinking about delivering compassion in the school settings, we want to include the adults in the circle, and that includes you. So as the educator who's doing this work with the learners, you really want to make sure you're spending time supporting yourself with some of these well-being, mindfulness, and compassionate strategies, so that you are able to experience them, and then you're better able to model them and also share them with the learners. Okay, I think that's great. Thank you so much for joining, and hopefully we hear from you soon.